Hey everybody, Jason Say here with Field Days and Wired Outdoors, and as you know, we're doing a fall food plot series. We did a series in the spring with 7 shows. We're doing 7 more shows here in the fall. And what today's show, I get a ton of questions where I see guys asking on a lot of the food plot groups I'm a part of, the Food Plots with Whitetail, the Food Plots with Whitetail Institute. They always ask, should I spray first? Should I mow first? What are the steps to planting a fall food plot? So what I'm gonna take you through today is what I do step by step to plant a fall food plot. Now, I've been fortunate, I've been very successful. You can see from some of these photos, I've had great results. So you'll talk to others and they maybe have a little bit different method that they go about planting their fall food plots, but this is what I do here in Northwest Pennsylvania, and this is what works for me. Okay, so where I start with, I'm assuming we had a podcast earlier that we talked about fall food plot strategy, and that was all about determining where you wanted to plant your food plots and what you wanted to plant. So I'm gonna assume that you guys have already went through that step. You know where you're gonna put your food plot. Now you're ready to start with the steps to be successful planting that fall food plot. So the first thing that we always start with, and you hear us preach it all the time, is soil samples. And if you're planting a plot in the fall, what you have to think of is lime will take sometimes 3 to 4 months to take effect. So I ideally like to soil sample in late winter, early spring, so I can get those results back, get the lime on those food plots sometime in early summer. That gives it a chance to start correcting that pH in your food plot. So again, soil samples, I like to do it late winter, early spring. Now, I don't want guys to panic. Here we are, we're in the fall, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't get my soil sample yet. You know, what am I gonna do? It's okay, I planted many food plots where, yeah, I didn't get the lime on as early as I would have liked. I've even done it where I did it, you know, a couple weeks in advance and still had great results. So ideally though, if you can do it perfect, plan on doing that soil sample late winter, early spring. Okay, you've done your soil sample, you got the results back, your lime and your fertilizer needs. So let's talk a little bit about the difference of when you're gonna apply that lime and fertilizer. Here in Northwest Pennsylvania, I found the sweet spot for planting fall food plots for me. I aim for that first week of August. I've just found that's the best, whether it's perennials, whether it's annuals, that seems to what does the best for me and I get optimal growth. So that's what I shoot for in all my planting. Now, does it work out that way every year? You know, if we have a super dry summer, you know, it may be a little bit later. If I see rain in the forecast, I may move it up. So we're looking at that last week of July, first 2 weeks of August. So everything I do is planned around that time frame. So you got your soil sample back. You want to get that lime in the ground as soon as you can. I usually shoot for the beginning of June when I like to get all the lime out. That gives it time to start correcting the pH. Again, don't panic if you haven't been able to do that, but just get the lime in the ground as soon as you can. As far as fertilizer, I like to spread that the day of. Because if you think of it, if you fertilize when you lime in June, you're just fertilizing weeds. You know, I want to fertilize the seeds that I just planted, so I like to spread that fertilizer the day that I plant those seeds. So we got our soil sample back, we know our lime and fertilizer. What's the next step? The next step for me is always mowing. I like to get in and mow. Again, I'm shooting for that plant date of August, so I'll get in and mow maybe the last week of June, and I'll let that grow for a week or so, and then I will go in and spray it. What do you want to spray it with? I get this question a lot, and you'll see people say, spray it with Roundup. That is not the correct answer. What you want is anything that says 41% glyphosate. That's what you want. Doesn't matter what brand it is. You can get it at Tractor Supply, you can get it at your local feed store, wherever, but it's 41% I always say that wrong, glyphosate. That's what you want to spray your plots with. So you're going to shoot for mowing that last week of June. Then in that first week of July, you're going to look at spraying that plot with the 41% glyphosate. Then what we're going to do, what I like to do, is come in, you're going to wait 7-10 days, wait for that plot to really die. Then you're going to come back in. I like to do this twice. I like to spray twice, because if you think of it, we're going to come in and we're going to disc that under them. We're going to disc it up, and what I like to do is wait like 10 more days to where the weeds start growing back, hit it with the glyphosate again. Now, people ask, is that completely necessary? No, I've planted many plots where I've sprayed one time, came in, disc, planted, and had tons of success. But if you think of it, when you disc that the first time, you're discing up all that weed seed that didn't get killed from your first spraying. So that's why I like to do it twice. That's an ideal world. Do you have to do it twice? Absolutely not. That's what I like to do. Sometimes I get up against it in a time crunch and I can't do it. So, but if you can plan it out and do it exactly right, spray that plot twice, You're shooting for that first week of August planting date. So I threw a lot at you there, so let me review very quickly here the steps that I like to do. You're gonna come in and you're gonna mow that food plot somewhere in mid-June, somewhere around that time frame. You're gonna wait a week or so, come back in and kind of aim for the end of June to spray that with the glyphosate, the 41% glyphosate, that last week of June, first week in July. You're gonna wait 7 to 10 more days, come in, disc that food plot, wait 7 to 10 more days, and hit it with the glyphosate, the 41% glyphosate again. So those are the steps for mowing and spraying. The next steps, we're gonna be seeding. Okay, you've done all the steps to this point. Here we are, it's the first week of August, which is the goal date of when we wanted to plant our food plots. We've soil sampled, we limed early on, we came in, we mowed, we sprayed with the 41% glyphosate, we disc, we sprayed again, and here we are, we're ready to plant. That's what we've all been waiting for. So what we bring in that first week, we're gonna bring the fertilizer, we're gonna bring the seed. I usually take a quad in along with a harrow, is what I use to drag my plots, as well as the tractor and the disc. What I wanna do is, if you remember, we've already disked this once, so it's gonna be super easy to lightly hit with the disc, just break that ground up a little bit. We're gonna break that ground up a little bit with the disc. We're gonna spread the seed. I use a broadcast spreader. Get a lot of questions on, a lot of people planting a small seed like fusion or imperial clover. They struggle with what settings. I've been doing this so long, I kind of just use finger pressure. I don't set it. I can kind of tell how fast the seed's coming out. But you want to make sure when you're spreading those seeds. I've talked to many guys where it's like, holy crap, I just spread 2 acres of seed on a 1/4 acre plot because I didn't realize how much seed was coming out. So you want to be careful on your seed settings. But I like to use a broadcast spreader. I'll spread that seed. The next step will be we will drag with a harrow. I get a lot of guys that ask, to use a cultipacker, to use this. I've been fortunate. All I've ever used is a harrow. Now, I can turn it up with the teeth down that drags it a little bit deeper, or with the teeth up. So if I have a small seed, like fusion or imperial clover, I'm gonna drag that really lightly with the teeth up. You get a bigger seed, with pure traction or something like that, I might turn it with the teeth down. I'm gonna drag that, I'm gonna spread my fertilizer, and then I'm gonna pray for rain. So that in a nutshell is all the steps that I do. We're gonna map them out here for you. The first thing is it always starts with that soil sample. Know the date that you're shooting for to plan it all out, that you can spray and you can mow when you need to. And if you follow these steps, more times than not, you're gonna have a lot of success. So I wanna remind everybody, we're doing a podcast all about this, a step-by-step fall food plot planning podcast. It's gonna be coming out, so I encourage you to listen to that as well. Hope this episode helped you. Wanna wish you a lot of luck food plotting, and thanks for joining us on Field Days.